Welcome to Marketing Global Edition with me, Jasmine Montgomery. Piers is on holiday today. So since I'm on my own, I thought I would give you a little tour of London's Old Bond Street and have a look at what all the designer brands are doing for their Christmas windows this year. Bond Street, as you know, is home to some of the most luxury brands in the world. Brands with the money, the taste, the style, and the creatives to do a brilliant job of bringing their brands to life at Christmas.
So how have some of the most exciting brands in the world set about doing storytelling in their retail windows? We're going to start here in front of perhaps the most iconic of all the shops on Bond Street, Ralph Lauren.
Ralph Lauren have a rather wonderful interactive window display. So there's a massive backdrop with what I guess is a film of some sort of a teddy bear clad in traditional Ralph Lauren sort of, cowboy hat and tartans and what have you. But on the front of the window are 4 interactive icons that you can touch to change elements of the scene. You can make it snow, you can shift the time of day, you can make snowballs fall, and you can change what the bear is wearing. Ralph Lauren have done their annual giving tree. It's a 5-foot Christmas tree outside of their flagship store on Bond Street. And it's in partnership with the Royal Marsden Cancer Charity. So there's a QR code and they encourage people to make a donation. And if you do, you can dedicate a star decoration for the tree. And they will write your name on the star or the name of your loved one and put it on the tree. So you know that Burberry's logo is kind of a knight on a medieval horse. Burberry have taken their brand asset of the knight and used it in their Christmas window, which they're calling the night before Christmas. But in this case, night is spelt K-N-I-G-H-T. And indeed, they have medieval knights clad in armor, pulling sleighs and having a good old time in the snow. Hermès is absolutely fascinating. They have eschewed the sort of traditional window design and gone for something that is quite unique. They've kind of created Christmas trees out of giant pencil sharpening strands. You know when you sharpen your pencil and you get that kind of curl of sharpened pencil? They've taken those, blown them up huge, and made big trees out of them with pencils and with pencil sharpeners on top. And it's really interesting. I've got to say, I don't visually super love it, but I've got to give them credit for, I think, the story that they're telling, which is one of kind of craftsmanship and artistry. In a world where everybody is moving to computer generated imagery, I think Hermès is celebrating the designer, the creator, the person who sits down with a blank piece of paper and a pencil, sharpens their pencil and starts to get creative ideas. That's what I think is going on here in this otherwise rather inexplicable design. It's really interesting to see what people do for a mannequin. You know, what you're trying to do in a shop window, especially in fashion retail, is you're essentially representing the human. It's a human that's going to wear your clothes, your hats, your scarves, etc. And so what do companies do to represent that human in their shop window? Quite a lot of them have sort of faceless mannequins that frankly look a little bit like something out of a child's nightmare. But Hermès have done something hilarious, and they've just imagined the mannequins. So we've got an invisible human. You can see the boots that they would be wearing if they existed. The scarf is flowing off of where the scarf would be, and there's a helmet on the head that would be there if there was a head. There's even a glove over an invisible hand holding an umbrella. So everything about this rider is showing you a human riding a horse, beautifully styled up. There's just no there. It's just an invisible human, which is rather fun, and I like that. Loewe, the Spanish designer, have really brought their animal iconography to life in their window. Loewe have these animal motifs that they use throughout their fashion, and they've taken the heads of these creatures. We've got cats and pigeons and elephants and everything, and put them onto their mannequins so that their mannequins rather eschew the faceless kind of mannequins of many of the stores and really bring the brand to life. Boss have done a lovely collab with Steiff to bring us the Boss Steiff teddy bear in their window. Nice collab. Not that I'm not a fan of an oversized bauble, but really, Emporio Armani, they've got, in case you're listening to this rather than watching it, they've got a mannequin in the window, a couple of handbags, and two oversized baubles. It just smacks of really not being very bothered. So I'm expecting great things from Jimmy Choo's windows. If anyone can do something enchanting with a shoe at Christmas, it's going to be Jimmy Choo. I'm really excited. What have they got for us? I've got to say, it's a bit disappointing. They've put a shoe in a glass jar as if it was a sort of really good piece of cheese. I'm pretty disappointed in the lack of creativity, really. Right, so Dior, understated, practically no fairy lights used, barely noticeable. Of course, I'm being sarcastic. It is the most extraordinary, illuminated, sort of moss-covered fascia. Super standout, very glitzy, very bling, lots of fairy lights, love it. But I've got to say, I think I have to hand it to Cartier for some pretty fabulous decorating. I mean, it's like one of those American suburban houses where granddad has gone mad with the fairy lights. Cartier have used their signature red bow motif and have really, as usual, gone quite strongly on the gifting. I have beef with big bows. I think that a lot of retailers think, aha, if I stick a giant big bow in my window or on my merchandising, with some empty boxes in this case, that everybody will think of us as a great brand for gifting. And personally, I think one should work harder to make gifting a really interesting story that you tell, inspiring people to think about the right gift for the right person is a real art that retailers should take much more seriously. Ferragamo have taken some of their iconic scarves and wrapped them around balloons and put them in the window. I mean, it's festive, it's not particularly Christmassy, but I guess I have to give them points for, you know, using their own product rather than sort of extraneous third-party decoration, and doing something creative with the product. I think this is what I was looking for from somebody like Jimmy Choo, was disappointed not to see, was, you know, how does a brand take its product and merchandise it in a way that the product is hero in the window. Louis Vuitton have recast their classic, iconic Louis Vuitton trunks as Christmas angels and have given them wings. Halfway down Bond Street, I always have to stop to admire this lovely sculpture of Roosevelt and Churchill sitting together on a bench having a very convivial chat. At first glance, Prada's window looks a little bit minimalist. There's sort of a man standing there and there's a kind of recreated white car. But actually, when you look at it, it's really, really fun. On top of the car is a Christmas tree, and inside are a whole bunch of Prada bags. I really love design that's insight based, and Prada's windows are just based on a super lovely moment in the Christmas journey. That moment when you pick up your tree and you strap it to the top of your car and take it home. Okay, so this is Moncler, and I'm loving this. It's got some real standout with some very space age, funky, ski related stuff going on. I'm particularly enchanted with the Christmas jellyfish. I mean, who doesn't love a neon yellow giraffe towering over one in one's ski suit? Over the last few years, we've seen a huge increase in video and LED and motion graphics in Windows, and Moncler have used it superbly, really. They've done a lovely combo where on one side of their double doors, they've got a traditional window that's not moving, and on the other side, they've some really fantastic video display with some sort of alien spaceships, Daleks. I'm not really sure what it is. Perhaps the Martians have invaded the ski resort. They've brought their yellow giraffe to life so that we now have Moncler ski suits being worn in the middle of a reimagined safari with neon yellow giraffe. It's really, really fun. It's lively, it's distinctive, it's futuristic. And of course, my absolute favorite, the festive Christmas jellyfish. Quite how she's both ski ready and surrounded by jellyfish, I'm not super clear. But given that we've got spaceships landing around her. I think at this point we've suspended disbelief and gone into the world of creativity and imagination. And that is a world that I love to see brands play in. Okay guys, I'm here in front of Tiffany's, every girl's dream place. I don't approve of blue lights at Christmas, but I guess if you're Tiffany's, it's the brand colour. And they've done something that feels quite precious and lovely, so loving that. Hilariously, Givenchy have not got a single bauble. You look in the Givenchy window, you wouldn't know it was Christmas. Perhaps they've just given up and decided that their customers are just not Christian. But I mean, there's not a bit of tinsel, not a fairy light, nothing. Givenchy, bah humbug. So I'm in front of Patek Philippe, and it's just absolutely adorable. There's this beautiful box, and they've recreated a lovely scene. It's incredibly sort of retro, Art Deco, heritage. Really, really interesting, totally unique, not like anything anybody else has done. So Roberto Cavalli have got a live DJ in their window. She's wearing a very fetching furry coat. She's got her headphones on. She's in between a sort of split classic sculpture of a giant head. It's all very gold and pretty. She's gorgeous. She looks like she's rocking it. I love it. How interesting. Live performance. Very cool. For sheer classiness of design, I've got to give it to Brunello Cucinelli, who have gone very, very high class and quite sort of neutral and monochrome in their window, but they've done it with great artistry and craftsmanship. So there is, it's very cream. They've created lovely sort of clouds and blankets of snow, if you like, out of white faux fur, and then very, very tastefully upholstered cream bits of sort of prop design, give you a sense of perspective and foregrounding and backgrounding. And in the background is a beautifully crafted little illuminated kind of townscape, like one of those hilltop towns that you might see in Italy on your ski trip. And it's been cut out really beautifully and backlit so that it really evokes that feeling of a Swiss, Italian, French kind of town on a hill seen from your ski chalet. And they've done it with really a lot of style. They're promoting in their window a documentary film about Brunello, and it's called The Gracious Visionary. And I think gracious is a lovely word to sum up this brand and this brand's Christmas windows. And it's not a word that you associate with very many of the brands on this rather over-the-top fashion street. So I love that. So this is 𝐻𝐻𝐸, who has blessed us with a purple horse eating a scarf. It's just not the festive season until you've seen a purple horse eating a scarf. Diptyque, who have mastered the art of charging a fortune for delightfully scented candles, have got a wonderful creature in their window. So they've got a big gold kind of candle holder, and emerging out of it comes this gilded golden cat with big eyes and whiskers popping out. And it's just very imaginative. It's rather wonderful. It is whimsical. Doesn't really seem to have anything to do with the brand particularly, but it's just delightfully unique. Swain have really gone for it with a 12 Days of Christmas motif. If you know the Christmas carol, the 12 Days of Christmas, you will recognize some maids are milking, some lords are leaping, some swans are swimming, and some partridges in a pear tree. It's a really good use of narrative. It's something unique, distinctive, entirely Christmassy, and they've really, really owned it. It's some good theatrical storytelling with decals that really taps into the heart and spirit of a traditional Christmas. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that little tour of the Bond Street fashion store windows. This is our last podcast for the year. We will be back again in January. We're taking a few weeks off for Christmas. And thank you so much, everybody who's tuned in and watched and listened all year. We're very, very grateful. And Piers and I both wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we will see you in 2026. Thanks so much.